is Matt Wallace. This is Music Quest, and welcome to another interview. Today, we are thrilled to have, we already have people in the chat, so that's good. Hey, Laura. Hey, Thought Storms. We are here to talk with our buddy, Dippy, all the way from Australia, and there he is in all of his glory. How are you doing, bud?
I'm going really great, mate. I really appreciate this opportunity too. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to talking and about my life and your life, and yeah.
Well, we can do that. Like I said, I got a couple of things I know I want to talk to you about and ask you about, but other than that, there's no telling what we're going to do. Yeah.
Great.
I think there will be a couple of people that'll get a kick out of putting a face and a voice with the typing and the handle. So we know you only because of Twitch. That is how we got together. You were with a whole bunch of people that raided Mother Merm's channel one night, I can't remember what it was, and you stuck around. You stayed. You hung out.
Oh, why wouldn't you with that lady? What a voice. But do you know what, Matt? All this started because of one guy in Australia, was Peter Northcote, who is a Twitch streamer himself. And when COVID hit, as you know, everyone it hit the musician world pretty bad. And basically, Peter thought, well, I'm stuck at home. Let's do these things called ISO gigs. So what he did, he set up his whole second bedroom as a studio and brought in musicians, and he'd stream it on Facebook. And someone told him about Twitch and said, and he's trying to get people interested. And at the first instance, no one wanted to do it. And finally, everyone started to cross over. And then obviously at the end of the stream, he would go and raid someone. And that's how I got to know so many amazing musicians around the world because of this platform called Twitch. And without Twitch, these people would never have been brought to the fruition. And which is, and I'll tell you straight away, I'm just a passionate follower of music. I cannot sing or play a note, but as you know, I do. I played around with song lyrics, and that's my passion now.
Yeah, we know we're going to get to that. So the thing is that we're streaming on Twitch right now, and you're other than Thought Storms hasn't really started streaming himself, but he's clearly familiar with and on Twitch regularly through our channel and other things. But at some point, I hope to be interviewing more and more actual Twitch people in this format. But I've started by interviewing a lot of people that are definitely not. So, letting people know how Twitch works and what it is part of what I have to do with some of these. But soon, like I said, when I started interviewing people who are already on Twitch, there no need to explain because they are living it. So you are an enthusiastic guy. Is that a fair statement?
That probably would be an understatement.
It's National Understatement Day here in the U.S. What's going on in Australia? It's good to have you. Thank you for being so enthusiastic, and we obviously enjoy having people on Mother Merm's channel that are happy to be there. It's fun.
You don't know how happy. This, as I said, my writing is only. I've been a poet, a hack poet, for about 10 years now, and I just started to write in rhyming verse when I was invited to Facebook. It would be 10 or 12 years ago to look at surfing photos because surfing's my passion, as you know, and I started to write in rhyming verse as a bit of a joke, and I thought this is fun. And so 5,327 poems later, I started to revisit and look at writing a chorus to my poems that I thought were appropriate. And a few of the fire streamers like Familiar Fry, Phil Smythe, and obviously Numb the Geek, and my fave obviously is Miriam. And they've embraced some of my words and gone to the trouble, as you know, live improv, words unseen before, and they've just put music to my words. And look, I'm just so over the moon because this is where I turn 70 next year, and I finally found what I want to do in my life, and this is to entertain, and this is a great start.
You are entertaining. So I commend you on the way you embrace life. You see, the thing is that you and I talked briefly about your recent trip and you surfing with a bunch of guys, and you've been surfing with guys for a long time, and you were trying to convince me that surfing is a good way to stay young, and I'm like, well, okay. But I think you're young, and the way you prove that is that you surf. I think you could probably go do just about anything, but obviously it's the surfing. When did you first start surfing? Were you like 3? I don't know.
All right. Okay. Well, that last conversation we had, I was in a place called Port Macquarie, which is about 5 hours north of Sydney. And it's an annual trip we do at different venues. And there's 22 guys on this trip who are all mates from school. And we've stayed together through the common passion of surfing. And as we've got older, some of the guys have gone to playing golf and drinking at the pub. But I always take my board and find waves. So that time I rang you before this all happened last week, I was at a place called Port Macquarie, which is a beautiful part of the eastern coast. So Sydney, as you'll show on the map, is on the eastern seaboard of Australia. And we're about latitude Okay. So if you look at the whole map, as you're showing it on there, you can see that coastline so it's divided into 6 states. Yeah, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, West Australia, Northern Territory. So if you come home back in on Sydney, beautiful, and we come right in on the Sydney CBD, keep on coming, all right, all the way, beautiful. Right. Now, there's Sydney. As you can see, the word Sydney is the central CBD. Now, if you at the Opera House and all that, if you come down the map south, you'll see a little isthmus, there's Botany Bay, and then there's that green strip below Sydney about, it's called Cronulla. Now, if you zoom in on that area, beautiful. Oh, you're so good, Matt. Okay, so basically, that stretch of beach, that big horseshoe bay, is called Cronulla. And if you go to the south of that horseshoe bay, you've got Port Hacking River, and all the estuaries go up all the way up through the Shire, because we're in what they call the Sutherland Shire, which is made up of all these suburbs like Caringbah, Miranda. So if you go back down the map a bit, right, and now about zoom in on the middle of the bay and come across, I can nearly show you my house. So now just go south with that. The other way, sorry. Other way. Yeah, right. I'll get used to the directions. Right. So if you now zoom right in now.
Just remember, everything's opposite.
I know.
Our up is your down. No, I'm just kidding. So where are we going?
Now just zoom in right now. Okay, keep on going. Right. Okay, we're getting close. Right, now just bring the map up a bit. Yep. Right, stop. Right. So basically what you've got there that's the Kingsway. You can see the Kingsway on the map. That's the main drag all the way down to Cronulla. And my house from there, if you go down to Cronulla there, that big area where the park is, right?
Right.
And then you got Yeah, this is fun.
Is
Okay,
it
now
down?
go. No, up, the other way. Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. So that whole long stretch of beach is Cronulla, and these green. That's a golf course. That's Woolooware Golf Course and Cronulla Golf Course.
Okay.
And my house is there in the middle, south of the green. There, it's called. If you look for a street called Flinders Road. So I'm about 700 metres to the beach. Now, if you come down there, you'll see a street running
There's Flinders
east-west.
right there.
Yeah.
Flinders Road.
Well, that's me. I'm in Flinders Road.
Oh, cool.
And it's a suburb of Cronulla, which has the same postcode because they're virtually twin towns. They're separated by one street, Franklin Road. And then so my life, and then if you bring the map down, the other way, sorry, and follow the beach north up the yellow sand. That's the way, all the way out. So that's Cronulla Beach, and that's made up of 4 main beaches. And as you go right round that hook and continue, it brings you out to a place called Kurnell. Now, Kurnell used to have an oil refinery from 1956 to 210. And I worked at that place for 35 years. And in 2010, we got the inkling that they wanted to change it into a distribution terminal. So that peninsula is Kurnell. And you'll see the word Kurnell at the end there.
Right there.
And that's where this is where Captain Cook landed when he first came to Australia and discovered Australia. Well, as a white man, we all had the indigenous for years, like 60,000 years. Yeah. But he landed in this little bay called Botany Bay on that peninsula, and there's a memorial out there of where he first touched land. And that area there at Kurnell, just to the south of the village, was a major oil refinery called by Caltex, which was owned by Chevron, 50% Chevron. You would have heard of Chevron in the States.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yep. And what happened, they decided that it was getting a bit antiquated in its age. So instead of doing a retro, they decided to turn it into a distribution terminal. So from 2014, I was made redundant out there because I was a process plant operator, and we were processing the crude oil. Once we made it into a distribution terminal, my job was obsolete because I'll bring in finished product. And the tanks they had for the crude oil were then used for supplying the jet fuel and the gasoline from major mega refineries that were built like recently, like in Asia and India. So our supplies of oil now come in from Asia and India, and come in, and in that, if you just bring the map down.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so there's, you can see all the tanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, now this is pretty recent because all the process where there's grey areas were all like fractionators and reformers, all parts of the process of refining the oil. Now, if you go, just bring the map downwards, right now, to that bay is Port Botany. So all the big ships would come in, and they would tie up to the wharf, and that wharf had pipes that went straight into the refinery. So from the ships, they would tie in at the end of the wharf, and if you go right in on that map, where the bay, where you go into the heads and bring it up, that's the township. You'll see the wharf going out in the middle. Yes, and there's a ship tied up.
Right,
and that's where the supplies come in. And when I was working there, I've been now 8 years since I got made redundant, and I just go surfing and write poetry now. That's my life. But that was my job. Was once that oil comes off the ship, they'd pump it in to the refinery, which is below you on the map. Yep. And then we would process it into jet fuel, heating oil, gasoline. So for 35 years, that was my job. And it was great because I did shift work, which allowed me to go surfing. I used to do what they call rotating shift, which was 5 afternoons, 2 off, 5 days, 2 off, 5 nights, 6 off. So every 20 days, I get a 6-day break. So I could go, and it's only day shift where I couldn't surf during the day. So my passion for surfing started when I was 12, and my dad got me into surfing. And in my book of poems, which I'm going to show you here.
Yeah, you got to hold it back.
Yeah. My book of poems, I wrote in 2013. I actually, the first one is a poem about my wife, and the other one is a poem about my dad at the end. And basically, my wife had, just let you know, my whole family can't stand my poetry. They hate my poetry with a passion. And they feel I'm embarrassing. And so what I did this book in 2013 and called Poems from the Heart. And in the book, if you open up, there's I'll go back and over. Yeah, and up. Okay, so that's my wife when she was 23. My favorite.
You got to keep going farther. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And see, and so this book has pictures on one side and the words inlaid into the photo. Yeah. And that picture, those words there, I wrote about in a heartfelt poem, and I put it on the. She had no idea I wrote this book. So what I did, I left it on the coffee table one day, and she comes up, she picks it up, she goes, "What's this?" I said, "It's my poetry book." She said, "When did you do this?" I said, "Over the last 6 months." And she goes, and she picks it up, and she opens it up, right? And she sees the photo, and she's going, "That's me." I said, "Yeah." And I wrote this heartfelt poem, and she's reading it, and she starts to tear up. And I'm going, "What do you think?" And she goes, "You could have photoshopped the pimple off my forehead." She was more worried about the photo than the poem.
Yeah, well, that's how people are.
Yeah.
No, that's good, though.
Oh, yeah. This book, look, it's like a bucket list thing. I can tick it off now that I did a poetry book, and I just self-published it. I put out 500 copies. I gave them to friends, and I virtually covered myself for printing. The only thing that was the cost was printing. I had a friend that was really good on the computer, and he set it out, and I just took it to a printer with a USB stick, and they laid it out in what they call InDesign. But at the back of the book is my picture of my dad. Now, my dad, he lived till 92. So let's get this up here. Is that right?
Slide the other way. Right. Slide the other way. Other direction. Yeah. There you go. Keep going. Keep going. There you go. Now down.
Now down.
Dude, right. Your dad's like ripped.
That is my dad.
All we see is his pecs and his arm. Take down a little bit. Down. There we go. Now we see a face.
Yeah. Well, now that's Dad at 68 years old, and he's brick veneering the house.
Oh my gosh.
Mate, he had the most amazing. He was a builder, and he never ever went to a gym. That was just purely his body shape from being a hard worker.
Yeah.
Now, if you see, he was the guy that introduced me to surfing, and he was a sailor.
Pull the book down because we can hear you better. We saw it. We got it. We saw it.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So in that book, I finished with that poem, and as you know, I know I'm sort of jumping about here, but in 2019,
keep doing it, man. Keep jumping.
In 2019, I did my own one-man show called An Audience with Dippy and Friends in there, and you know that because I sent it to you. There's a link, and anyone can watch it. It was I had an opportunity to use the local arts theatre because a friend of mine was a director down there, and what he did, there's a famous play called Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller.
Right.
And what happened, here I am on stage, and basically the set was for the Death of a Salesman. And he said, look, you've got one window after a matinee show, one Sunday afternoon, and he said you can have it from 6 o'clock. So I went down there and I set it up. I only had an hour to organise how I was going to present it. Now, when you see the start of the show, I'm actually in the audience, and no one knows this. Only 4 people, 2 old friends. They sat there in the front. All the audience came in from behind. So this is a theatre that's very close. You don't need a mic, and it's a very, like, they're all heads there in front.
Right.
They're not. Yeah. So it's a tiered theatre, 130 seats. So I had a day to find an audience, and I got all my friends to come down, and they're in the audience. And basically, I thought, well, how am I going to start this show? So I'm in the audience, and what happens? The show starts, and there's a pregnant pause. I'm nowhere to be seen. And next minute, I get up off my seat at the front, and I walk up, and I'm dressed as my dad. I've got an handicap hat on and the glasses, and I've got this braces on. And I'm going, where is he? I used to work with the old prick. He's always late. He's never on time. I'll do the show myself. And I go up on stage, and I start doing reciting, and then people realise it's me. And I do this one, which I'll do for you. It's about the vagaries of getting old, and it's called Gotta Face the Ugly Truth. And I've done it that many times in the shower that I knew the first 4 poems pretty well off by heart. And then what happened, after the 4th poem, I say to the audience, look, I'm getting pretty tired now. I'll go out the back and see if Dip's here. So I walk off stage, and then I come out as myself. So that's how it starts. And what happened, a friend of mine, he actually videoed it for 50 minutes before he ran out of battery. And I was spewing because I went for 2 hours. They had to kick me off the stage. I would have gone for 5 hours. And I had so much. So it's my life through poetry. It's virtually, I've just grabbed a series of poems, and I did a slideshow, and I talked about my mum and dad and my dad's love affair with a chainsaw. I got a really funny story with Dad. Like, Dad was he was a character. He was such a great father. He was there for everything I wanted to do. Surfing, soccer practice, soccer. He'd take all the kids to soccer practice. So when he passed, it was a very sad time for me. He's been gone now 14 years. He would be 105 if he was alive. So he had a good innings. And basically, Dad he was a sailor, and he built ski boats, water skiing boats. And I water skied up until I was 12, and then I discovered surfing, and I haven't looked back. Surfing's been my passion every day. I'll be, because of shift work with my job at the refinery, I was being able to surf every day, virtually for 4 or 5 hours before going into shift. So I'd come in. So yeah,
I have a challenge here.
Yep.
I am interested, and I am listening to the actual story you're telling me. Simultaneously, you will say things and use phrases that I want to ask about. So I don't want to interrupt what you're actually saying, but I also want to say, so when here we would say somebody had a good run of it. You know, when they've lived a full life, they had a good run of it. So you said had good innings? Is that what you were saying? Is that what you said?
Oh, yeah. A good innings was, well, it's in cricket, you have an innings, the game of cricket. And there's usually like a test match, 5 innings. And if you've had a good innings, it means you've scored a lot of runs. Yeah. So I suppose that the analogy good is the runs in life. Yeah. So if I say the expression, and this is what I love about this whole thing where this international sort of talk, we've all got different phrases and different standards and morals and ethics, and what one person gets offended by. And one thing you've got to realise, Australians have got a very, very weird sense of humour sometimes, and we do sledge each other.
You don't have to tell me that. So you and I were talking, and I didn't say anything at all, but I've had a fair share of Aussies in my life. I played college tennis with some Aussies.
Okay.
There was this one guy that literally he got there in January, had never been out of Australia, and he was just a kid. We're all kids in college, and he was very awesome. and so he didn't have anywhere to go for his spring break. School, we have spring break in March or something like that, where school's out for a week or so. And so he didn't have
You got to
anybody.
remember, hang on, Matt, you got to remember that the northern and southern hemisphere, everything's back to front. Like we're going into our winter next month,
right?
And you're going into your summer.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, but he was in the States. It didn't matter what was going on in Australia.
Okay.
He was in the States. He didn't have any family here. He didn't know anybody here. He was here to play tennis. And so I took him with me out to the oil fields where I'm from. And I grew up out in the West Texas oil fields. And I took him out with me during spring break. And it was fun because the entire time he was out there, no one looked at him. They would only look at me, wanting me to translate because his accent was so heavy and his vocabulary was so different, and the idioms he used, nobody could understand him. So they would just look at me, and then I would, even though he was speaking English, they could not understand this guy. And so I played with him. And then I've had a number of other people I've worked with and been around from Australia, but I also produce a cattle dog trainer who's a world famous cattle dog trainer. And he is very Aussie, but he came to the States when he was 18. So he still has an accent, even though he's like 4 or 5 years older than me. So he's between my age and your age, but he is Aussie through and through, but spent most of his life in the U.S. But he has introduced me to, I am honored that he treats me like a mate. And I am convinced that Aussies who they will do crazy, weird things for their mates. Like the whole thing is you have friends, and then you have friends that would move bodies. Well, I'm pretty sure Aussies who are mates will help you move bodies.
Well, there's a classic example of my trip. There's 23 guys, and we've stayed together. We did this for 44 years now. Every year we do a different theme, and we're still mates from school, and we've stayed when we're all in our late 60s. Like, so basically, it's been a great, and the common passion was surfing. But as I said, as we get older, a lot of guys took up golf, but I've never had a real attraction to golf. I just find I get too impatient. I just love surfing. So other than writing, which I only discovered 10 years ago from, as I said, from Facebook, going and making comments, that's now my second passion other than family, because I'm now a granddad for the third time, and I'm loving being a grandparent. It's just a buzz. And so I've written so many poems on the subject. Look, there's not a subject I haven't written on, Matt. And when you guys had this, I offend a few people in your state, but when Mr. Trump came in, I had a lot of fun writing Trump poems, and I got very divisive because some people were real Trump followers still, and some people weren't. And even in Australia, we follow your politics. We don't normally follow your politics, but that was the 4 years of the best entertainment I've ever had.
Yeah, I bet. I love money. Okay, so I got a question for you.
Yep.
Why and how have you been able to maintain such a zeal on a surfboard? Is it just like riding a bike and you can't help it? Or I got some pictures I want to show people. Like that's your.
Yeah,
how long ago was this?
That was 3 years ago, in a place called the Mentawais. Now, the Mentawais is a chain of islands in Indonesia, and for 10 years, from 2009, I went every year for 10 years to this island chain. It's like pristine, clear water. It's just idyllic palm trees, and and one of these spots is called. That's got a funny name. It's Nipussi, pronounced Napusi. And basically that wave is one of about 20 different breaks. So when you have all these reef passes, you have all these waves that come in different angles. And that's where I'm going on the backhand, because I've got my right foot forward. That's a right-hander in expression. So when I talk about right and left-handers, if I'm going towards the left, like as that one, I'm going backhand. And that's one of many trips that I've done. The last 2 trips, I went to another spot further north called the Tello Islands, which is in Indonesia. And that's a place called Good Times. And that's just across the bay from the place where I am. It only takes 10 surfers where I was surfing. And for 10 years, I used to go with every year, usually in the off-season, because I found as the years went on, it got very popular with a lot of one of the biggest crew that come down, who've got the furthest to come, is the Brazilians. They've got to come from, as you know, they've got a trip and a half, and they get there, and they're great. Brazilians are great one-on-one. You get them in a group, they'll eat their own young. They're just so like passionate with their surfing. And now we've got a Brazilian world champion with this Gabriel Medina. Anyone that follows surfing, the Brazilians have really come onto the platform, the scene, in with so much passion and zest that they just live for it. And when we, as Australians, travel, we find that they can be a little bit over passionate in the water and get a bit greedy, because there's, like every sport, there's rules. And basically one of the rules in surfing is that if you're on the inside, you have right of way, because you're traveling across the water, the face of the green face. So you want to keep away from the foam, which in that picture you showed me of me, I'm heading towards the blue face. So that's where I'm bottom turning. I'm out in the green face. So you do all your main surfing on the green wall. You don't want to be in the foam. So basically, that place there is called Michos. It's called Michos or Missionaries because it's in front of a church on an island in the Tellos called Tello Island Lodge. And we had that for 3 days. In actual fact, that was on my 65th birthday. I had that. I celebrated my birthday over there, and that was the wave we had. It was just beautiful. There was only 8 of us in the water, 8 only. And to get a surf with only 8 in the water, like you go down your places like in California and Australia, all the places, there's a place called Snapper Rocks on the border of Queensland and New South Wales, and it's a popular spot. And there'd be 400 people surfing, 400 in the water. So going overseas, the whole idea of going overseas is to get away from these crowds and to get waves with 80 of your friends out for 8 hours. I surfed for 8 hours one day. They had to call me in. They said, you've got to come in. We've got to take the boat back. But when you get home and you only get three waves a session, to go over there and get 100 waves in a session, you're just frothing because you want to get as many waves as you can on that 14 days holiday. Because I go for 14 days. The idea is that in that 14 days, you might get 2 swells. You get because it's all to do with low pressures and high pressure systems that create these swells in the Indian Ocean is our main swell source. In America, you've got the Pacific Ocean that comes onto the west coast there. And so you're relying on these low pressure systems to create the waves. So without these low pressure systems, and what they do now, a lot of people, they chase the swells. The way technology is with all the Bureau of Meteorology and all these different websites, you can actually predict in 2 weeks that a swell's coming to a certain place. And a lot of these big wave chasers, they will actually make the effort to book a trip knowing there's going to be 10-foot, 20-foot waves. I don't surf that waves that big. I know my limits. I'm happy with on a reef with 3 or 4 foot swell. That's beautiful. You can give that to the guys, with a lot more balls than me. I mean, they're surfing. There's a place called Nazare. They surf at 80-foot waves. It's incredible.
That
80
is
foot
incredible.
is huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And so so surfing has been a really big part of my life, and basically the last 12 years, since 2009. So what's that? 13 years. I've been going every year, and that's been my solace to make it over there. And just that 14 days is just like leaving reality and going to a fantasy.
That was your first trip to that particular place in Indonesia?
The first time I went was 2009 to Pit Stops is an island. And for 10 years, I went back each year at different times of the year. And the last two times I went to another place further north called the Tello Islands, called Latitude Zero. And it's like a 5-star surfing resort. And a lot of the demographic of guys, because it was quite pricey. So they're probably all in their 50s and 60s. So it was a pretty good equilibrium with surfers. You're not surfing against 20-year-olds that are frothing. The expression frothing is that they're paddling around berserk trying to get every wave. We're all taking it in turns and we're having a laugh. And this is what happens with this surf trip we did in up the coast is other than the surfing, just being with guys that you've known since school, it's just a buzz. I mean, that's what friends are all about, and we've kept that friendship for since school, and some have known each other since preschool. So some of those guys have known each other for 55 years, so even longer.
I think I get the camaraderie part. That makes sense, and it also makes sense that it would be good to find a location with people who are not frothing. I did not know that term.
Frothing. Frothing.
Froth. Okay.
Yeah, like the froth. Yeah.
Okay. So I am discovering something that I guess makes sense, but it just hit me that if somebody's really into surfing, they're also probably have like an intermediate level knowledge. They could probably be weathermen wherever they go. They have to really learn that part of it, right? I mean, because that's you don't want to waste your time and go, why aren't there any waves? Like, because
and until all this came in the last, say, 15 years, the technology, there's buoys out there that predict the swells and that, and you've got a direct Wi-Fi link to these. And when we were growing up, it was the thrill of this discovery. You'd go to a beach and you didn't have an iPhone to ring up your mate, say, yeah, I'm down the beach now and it's going off, come down now, we'll go down the coast today. You'd go down the coast unknowing what's there because you only had landlines and you didn't have this direct internet or FaceTime. So the kids today are so spoiled with what they've got access to before they even get from their own bedrooms, not even leaving the pillow. They've got a whole forecast of the coast. Yeah. So they know that they can go to a place, they're going to get waves, and they know what time the wind's going to come up, what the swell's doing, whether there's going to be rain. And so that's the beauty of the modern technology. But it's made surfing very, very popular. And surfing as a sport is just getting where it was sort of pretty clicky. It's now mainstream. And with the major competitions around the world, going to beautiful places to surf. There's a place in Tahiti they're going to soon, other than Kelly Slater's. You would have heard of Kelly Slater because he's got a ranch called the Surf Ranch, and it's a wave built in California, inland, and it's on a big farm, and it goes for about maybe a 600-meter ride. And there's a ride on the left down to, and it's a big like a train with a shovel, and it runs down a track and creates the swell, and it hits the bottom of this pool that has the most perfect shape for making the waves hollow. So when they're going to have a competition, a world surfing competition on this break. That's the next phase. There's about 11 competitions during the year, and this is the next phase. And after that, they go to a place called Chopu, which is Tahupi. Oh, it depends on how you want to pronounce it. It's in, we call it Chopes. It's in Tahiti. It's the most dangerous wave in the world, and they get in. So you can drive a bus through the barrel, and when I say barrel, the wave breaks on the reef in 2 foot of water, and it pitches over as far as it's high, and the guys get inside that, and sometimes they get towed in with a jet ski, and others they just paddle in. And you're not allowed to be towed in a competition. You just paddle in, and they take off, and you got your heart in their mouth for them, because there's 2 foot of water below them, and they're in a 10-foot barrel, and they're way back inside. And then what happens when the wave's so barrely, it creates this air pocket, and they get blown out with this big gush of spray. And the famous Hawaiian spot is Pipeline. And it's probably more radical than Pipeline in intensity. Pipe is, I mean, the guys that surf pipe in their back door, there's a few guys that live right in front of that wave, and they've got it wired. It's all changed. The board quality, the shape of the boards, the actual equipment they've got to ride these waves. And when they ride the big waves, they've got like air vests now. Like if they get stuck, they could be under the water in some of these wipeouts. They could be down there for 2 minutes, or hold downs where they go through one session and they can't get, the wave doesn't let you get to the top of the surface. So you've got to learn, and that they'll train by carrying rocks through a pool under their arms so that they're kept on the bottom, and they'll train to be able to hold their breath for 2 minutes so that they can be held down, knowing that they'll make it. And if things get bad, they can have an inflation vest. They wear inflation vests. That's those guys that surf 15, 20, 30-foot waves in
serious.
Yeah. Serious stuff.
So this man-made wave machine is what? Where is it located?
It's in California. Look up Surf Ranch, and it's Kelly
Ranch.
Slater, who's an 11-time surf champion, the Surf Ranch. And look, I know it might be, I'm sure it's in California. It's not in. There's another one called in Waco. There's a surf wave in Waco, Texas.
That's right down the road from us. Yeah, it's real.
Yeah,
right
well, there's a surf ranch that. Well, it's an earlier model, but Kelly's is the ultimate. And you're looking at maybe $6,000. If you went over there, $6,000. Here we go. This is it. So you can imagine it's trying to emulate, if that's the word, what's happening in the ocean. But the wave is so mechanical that every shape is just perfect. So the point of difference for these professional surfers is trying to find something that they do on that wave that's not the same as another. A lot of guys find this boring to watch as a spectator. Mm-hmm. As a surfer, you would love to be able to surf these places. But so the wave, there you go. This is it. He's showing the people, this is Kelly's Surf Ranch. And the wave is created by that train you saw down the middle.
Right.
And that's what's creating the swell. And it breaks 2 ways. And there it goes. This is a promotional. It's very quick. But they'll show this on Fox, the competition, for 4 days. It'll go for, or even longer, because they don't have to worry about bad weather. The wave's always going to be there. It's just the wave quality. So it's up to the surfer's ability to do on that wave, like an artist paints a picture. See that? And there he does. He's doing a air reverse. See, so basically, when they get points in a major competition, there's certain criteria: length of ride, maybe critical time of the face. Where if that wave's identical, see, they're going to see how vertical, and then they get in the barrel. See that?
Right.
That's riding the barrel. Now, that to have that as a surfer at your doorstep, I mean, it's not cheap. I think to hire that out, it's like $60,000 a day. So if you've got 60 friends, but they only get 4 waves every. I think you can get 15 waves an hour. So there's 4 waves every. Hang on, let's work it out. And I worked it out. I'd be looking at paying $640 a wave to ride it if you hired it with all your mates. But
Right.
people will do it just to say they've done it. But we're getting a lot of wave pools built now. It's becoming a new technology, and it's getting more refined. And a lot of them are being built. There's one called Urban Surf in Melbourne, which is the state further south of New South Wales, where we are, and it's right at the airport. So you get off at the airport in Melbourne at Tullamarine, and this Urban Surf, it's a lot smaller in length and the ride, but it's just the novelty of riding a wave that's well away from the coast.
Well, sure, but then also from a competition standpoint, I think it is interesting, because if you have identical waves for the most part, then you have something to compare. I mean, like if in nature it's not fair, and that's, a lot of sports are not fair. I get that, but in as much as that you allow the people to be artistic, knowing that they've got the same palette to work with as the other guy, that's kind of cool. Yeah,
because I tell you what, when you surf in a competition, in a say a heat that goes for 30 or 40 minutes, which is a typical heat. There might be a lull in the ocean, and that person might go through, and the next heat will be waves coming in, pumping in. And this is what happens when you've got a tennis court. You've got the court and a net and a racket. When you've got a golf course, right, so it's a static. Where you got the ocean, it's all dynamic. Everything's moving. So no two waves are the same. But this surf ranch has made it that every wave breaks mechanically virtually the same on both ways. So that train that creates the wave with the sort of the shovel at the front, it's actually creating a wave both sides. So what they do, they finish the wave and they'll go and they'll swap sides and they'll run down the other side back. And the idea is that they've got to show their ability on the forehand and the backhand, meaning your right foot forward or your left foot forward. So there's what they call goofy footers and natural footers. And a goofy footer has his right foot forward on the board, and a natural footer has his left foot forward. And depending on what breaks there are in the world, some breaks are made for where you surf with your face to the face of the wave, and others your backs to the wave. So some guys now like surfing backhand waves, but as I said, in the surf ranch, the palette's the same. A lot of the Brazilian guys do these aerials in the water, but you haven't got much time to slow up on this. This thing's going flat out, and a lot of guys get caught behind, and it takes a few goes to really get the gist of how to surf a wave pool. It's being mechanical like that. I mean, a lot of guys, a lot of purist surfers are dead against the whole idea of having a competition in an artificial wave. For that reason, it takes away the ability for a surfer to read the ocean and to chase the bank. You've got that. You take off in identical spots, and the wave comes. You're waiting for it, and you know when it's going to come. You can predict it after 3 or 4 rides what it's going to do each time. So it all gets down to how good the surfer is, his ability, and that's the beauty of anything in life, the diversity in styles. I can see a friend up the beach 2 kilometres away, and I'll know his style of surfing, the way he holds his arms, just what he does on the wave. And with the pro surfers, honestly, some pro surfers, you would, if you took their bodies and didn't show their heads, you could go, who is that? I know that style. And they could be 4 or 5 guys that are in the top 10 surfers in the world have identical styles. But there's always going to be someone with a point of difference, and that's what's the love of surfing is. You've got John Florence, who's an Hawaiian. You've got Kelly Slater, 11 times world champion. You've got Australians. There's a group of Australians coming up. They all have this little bracket of time in their lives, in their country, where the next group are really strong. And then the Brazilians might feature for the next 3 or 4 years because their passion to surf and they're young. And then Portuguese Portugal. So the beauty of having these surf comps all around the world is that you're seeing a diversity of surfing, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. It's just going to get endless because the ocean's always going to create waves, and they're always going to be different. Tennis, golf, you've got a golf course and you've got a tennis court, and those guys get so good at it because of repetition. Same as surfing, but the ocean is what is going to govern the quality of the wave.
So I have a question for you. Do you think if we set it up that you could talk 10 hours straight about surfing?
We just froze for a second.
I'm sorry. Matt. I'm sorry. Do you think you could talk 10 hours solid about surfing?
Maybe 12, not 10. Now, listen, I know this is a music quest and it's not surf quest. So good, man. I thought, well, we got heaps. We got another 6 hours yet, so let's make the most of it.
We got plenty of time, man. We got plenty. So that the thing is that you what the very first song, or one of the first, I don't know if it was the first one, but I know that Miriam recorded "Seas of Bali." It was your take on the string.
Well, I'll give you the background. So Sting brings out this song when he goes solo called "Fields of Gold."
Right.
And when I'm listening to "You Remember Me When the West," it's all about the fields of Bali, Baley. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that he was initially singing about Bali, the surfing spot, Bali. So I've always wanted to change the words
and you did.
Seas of Bali. So I sat down with the original lyrics and I transposed identical so that anyone that knew the song could pick up that song and play it straight away, just transposing my words. And that's what Miriam did, and that's what she was the first to do it. Phil Smythe did a version and did a production of it with Steve Forward helping him. Ben Smith did one, but my favourite is got to be Miriam's because obviously it's the first one. And I think Fry, who's in Iceland, he's grabbed 30 of my song lyrics now, and he's done them. But Fry's very private with what he wants to do, and I can't hassle him like I can hassle you guys because I know that I'm very pesty the way I go, come on, do another one. And Miriam's so accommodating. And look, honestly, the way she read those, the reason, and not the best at saying. In actual fact, you said that she's only did 4. She's actually done, I'll tell you something. I've got her book. Hang on a sec. Here he is. Songs by, can you see that?
Yeah, there you go.
Songs by Mother Moon. I've got folders coming out my bum here, and in that, I've got the list of what she's done, and she's actually done five songs. She not only has she done the best at saying, and the reason, which are my 2 favourites, and Seas of Bali, but she's also originally early days did Take a Random Key and All You Want. So really? Those 2. I'm going to hassle you, Matt, to find them. I've got the dates.
You got the dates. Okay, well then that helps. That helps.
Yeah.
Right, so I am about 95% sure that anybody who's on the stream right now and watching what we're doing knows Mother Merm, knows all that kind of stuff. But I was going to go ahead and hit play and listen to it a little bit. So.
Oh, beautiful. So this is my changed words, and she's doing this first time she's read the words, and I just love watching her because she's smiling as she's reading the words, as if she's enjoying what she's playing, which has made my day. This was my first one.
Yeah. Well, it's not. We listen to Sting a lot, okay? So it was
Yeah.
good that she knew that song pretty well to start with. But yes, she did a fantastic job. So did you, when we were doing that, did we tell you that Miriam and I have been to Bali?
You did mention that, yes,
Yeah.
and you've been to you went to Thailand, and you've done a few. I was surprised where you had been in the Asian area. I didn't realize.
I've been to Singapore a number of times. We went up the Musi River down on South Sumatra and by Palembang. We went into
Oh, well, South
Aceh.
Sumatra.
Yeah, we went
Wow.
up. We went into Aceh after the tsunami wiped out Banda Aceh. We
Yes.
went there. We've been to Jakarta, Bali, and I've been to.
Is South Sumatra the one that's got Padang as the city? Or
Yeah, Sumatra is the large, huge
yes,
western
yeah.
island, of Indonesia.
Yeah, well, when we fly from Sydney to go on the surf trip, we fly in to we go two ways. We can go Jakarta to Padang, or we go KL, which is Kuala Lumpur, to Padang. And what we do, we stay and get a boat from Padang Harbour across to the island, which is about 3-hour crossing in a fast boat. The first time I did it, it took 11 hours in a slow boat, and there was diesel smell in the boat. We all got sick. Oh, I thought I could never do a boat trip. So that's why I've always done a land-based camp surf trip. A lot of guys do charter boats where they go out on a boat for 10 days, and they might be on a boat with 10 guys. I like coming back each day to terra firma. I like to, and the way Paul, the guy that owns Pit Stop Hill, the resort, he built that on a hill 92 steps above the sea level. And the idea was he built that after that tsunami that took out Banda Aceh. So when you mentioned that, I could relate, because I remember Paul wanting to build this resort on this island, and we were one of the first to go there. And he built it directly above a break called Pit Stops, which is named because it's an area where you stop on the way back to Padang after you've surfed all these other breaks, and they call it pit stops. It's like, a pit stop in. And basically, when we were there, Paul, we were the only ones surfing it out front. And then over the years, the other parts of the island land camps started to pop up, a lot of Brazilian land camps, and they started to walk around and surf pit stops as their break, because they didn't have access to boats. We've got a 45-foot boat with two twin 80s on it that take us over maybe 15 minutes away to other islands. So not only do we surf out in front on this island, we get to surf other breaks and hideaways, Kanduis, good times. They've all got names. The surf charter boat guys give them names, so everyone gets to know these spots. And there's a place named after a chocolate bar called Bang Bangs, and that's one of my favourite breaks. It's just absolutely beautiful. That's just down that bay, in the E Bay, which is where we are. It's called E Bay, and at the bottom of that is this most picturesque place to surf that you'd ever want. And I always look forward to seeing that. And when you're coming across to go to, after you leave Padang, to go to stay on the island, you go through this little gap in the island chain, and you can look across and you can see this break. And if it's working, you know you're in for a treat. It's fantastic. But anyway, I digress. We'll get back to what my passion is at the moment is the music, and we're talking about what Miriam's been doing. And
I've got an angle on this that you might not have seen coming, that I didn't think about it until like right now. Okay, so this is not I haven't figured this out yet. So let me see if I can get this to work. But let me see 1 second. See what this. That's not what I thought it was. Shoot, I'm trying to find. Let's see. I am so close. So you've got to meet this guy, okay? Is there any chance that you're going to go back to Bali? Because I've got this friend who I went to college with, who is a surfer and one of the best guitar players I know. and he lives in Bali.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
and I went to school
It
with
looks
this
it
guy.
looks fit. It looks fit. It
Oh
looks very
yeah,
fit.
he's ripped. He's my age.
But he I was going to say he's a bit younger than me. Matty, you're only 55, aren't you?
I'm 59. I'm not that far behind you. So I mean, so this guy, he's a surfer, but he is, the reason why I'm telling you this is that he is an incredible guitarist, and he makes soap. I used to. The last I talked to him, he was still living in Bali, and he surfs a lot. And so he's a really good musician, and he definitely knows how to surf. And he's in, that side. So maybe I ought to, if you ever go that direction.
What's his name?
John Marciano. John Marciano.
John Marciano. It's got a very guitar musician's name, Marciano.
Yeah, he is. I think if I remember correctly. I
just wrote that down.
So he does. Well, here I just pulled up something random, so this is going to be probably out of control.
AC/DC. Living free.
So one of my favorite memories is hanging out with him one time and watching him play on an acoustic, the Sultans of Swing, and all of the nuance, all of the stuff. And I went to college with him, and he's just a nice guy. But I think he still lives there, and I think he still surfs. He's into motorbikes, and he plays the guitar. And if you're ever in Bali, you should look him up and see if you got, I don't know. I think you would like him.
For sure. I have a few friends that have been living in Bali for 10 or 11 years. One guy especially, he there's a break in Bali called E018, and they used to call him Johnny E018. And he spent many years there. And there's a couple of guys, Walter T. I've got a few mates, and one of my mates' brother-in-laws. He's building there we go. I can hear it.
Sorry.
Yeah, right. And so Bali's very commercialised now for surfing. That's why I've enjoyed going up to the Mentawais, because as much as I love Bali, I just find it's very popular that it's always, and the local Balinese kids are amazing surfers. So there's no such thing as a off season to them. Everyone surfs and goes to Bali all times because they go to the other side of the island. So when the trade winds blow, as in the song Seas of Bali,
right.
When the trade winds blow, it's offshore, and that's what you want. As a surfer, you want the winds to be offshore, blowing onto the face, and it makes a beautiful, clean face. And then so when that, I think that would be from May to September is the side there where Kuta and Legian and all those places, Denpasar, is on that side, right? On the other side, you've got where the airport is. That's the side for the winter, which is what I said is from May to September, October. Then when the winds change, you go to the other side of the island, places like Nusa Dua. There's a resort there, Kremis. I can't say it, Kremis, and they have surfing competitions over there now. So as surfers, all these competitions, they're trying to give them quality waves to surf instead of surfing just slack beach breaks where, like, Huntington Beach is a classic example. It's there, but you wouldn't call it world-class wave, where you go to like G-Land and you in Indonesia where the wave goes for 300 meters and it's just perfect shape.
What's G-Land?
G-Land is Garudjigan, and it's on the western tip. It's on the southernmost tip of Java. And G-Land, get your head out of the gutter, okay? I know where you're going with this.
No, I wasn't going there. That's you. I am just seriously now. See how you are, but no, I'm going to find it.
No, okay. Well, okay. If you want to find it, it's a 3-hour surf trip from Bali, and it's on the tip of Java, and it's called Garajigan, Gragar.
That's all right.
Garland, yeah. Yeah. I love the way you can just look these up, man. It makes so much difference because it's all relevant to what I'm talking about. If people can see what I'm talking about on a map, well,
Yeah,
they'll
so
get
where on this
right,
is it?
here we go. Right. Okay, so if you look at on the right side, you'll see Bali, Bali down the bottom.
Right there. Right.
If you see that Java is across the bay, see that tip?
Right.
Yeah, okay, right. And now bring the map down or up, bring it up. Right. See that? No, other way. You're going the right way. Right. Because we want to be on that coast. Now, if see that whole tip there, now see that island tip, see how it bends back in? Tip it now. Yeah, now go right in there. Bring it right in. Now keep on going all the way. Now you want to, where that red's coming, bring it down. That's the way. Now bring it right in.
Yeah.
Right. Now this wave has got to be the most perfect shaped wave, and it runs forever. And it goes down from that point and runs and they're all Bobby's camp. There's all the different camps. When they first discovered this place, there's a guy named Boylan, and Cherry Lopez went there for years as well. And basically that surf, it's the first time they've had a major competition with the WSL, which is the World Surf League, going to this place last year. And they scored. They always manage to score great waves when they go to these locations. And as a sponsor, it's a big call to sponsor a surfing event that until we got world coverage, see where Fox Sports has got behind surfing in a big way. And you can see all these major events in these exotic locations now and watch every event, the heats, the points, the scores. And surfing is just being open to all these beautiful exotic places now in Indonesia. Indonesia is a mecca for beautiful waves. And Bali was in 1973. There's a movie called Morning of the Earth, and that was what put Bali on the map. When Bali was everyone was getting popular to go to Bali, I went to Sri Lanka in 1976 with a friend for 6 weeks surfing, which was amazing. I mean, it's such a different lifestyle when you see. And we went up to a place called Kandy and Nuria, and it's just another culture. Like to come from Australia where you didn't have beggars in the street and people in Palatial. You got beggars sitting on the front fence of a person that's absolutely wealthy as anything. It's a bit like India. It's a teardrop. It's Ceylon. It was Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. It's south. It's southeast of India, and a lot of So that whole island chain all around that area, and I did that in 1976. One of my first, other than my local breaks in Australia, my first major surf trip overseas was New Zealand for 6 weeks.
Oh wow!
Then I went to Sri Lanka for 6 weeks. I went to the Maldives in 2000, which is absolutely amazing. Tahiti. I went to Tahiti in 1980. I went to what's the other place I went to? Tahiti. I'm trying to think of all the different spots. Oh yeah, Fiji. Went to Fiji. We surfed Fiji. That's a beautiful spot too. So it depends on the swell sources, and a lot of guys now will wait to the last minute to book things and look at what the swell's doing. Not much point going to one of these beautiful locations and getting there and find that there's no surf at all. It's flat. The worst thing ever is to go to a surf spot and sit there and just read books for 14 days when you want to surf. So a lot of people are taking the opportunity with all these bombs, what they call BOM, Bureau of Meteorology. You've got surfing, Coastal Watch. You've got Magic Seaweed. You've got a lot of Willy Weather. You've got all these surfing platforms now, like apps that will give you a 2-week prediction. And if you pay for an app, pay for a subscription, you can get up to 3 weeks of what's happening with the swell prediction. So if you're lucky, jump on a plane and go there with 3 or 4 boards to cover yourself for, because you take boards to suit the wave size. You know, you can't go out on a 5'10" board and surf.
You're talking to somebody
waves.
who doesn't know any of that. I got to show you something, okay? Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. All right, so I'm going to show you something that ought to look similar to what you did in work. That's all a refinery.
Yes, yes.
That refinery is right down the road from my hometown, which is over here.
So is your hometown called Fort Worth? Are you in Fort Worth?
No, that's Andrews. That's my hometown. It's out in the middle. Let me turn the map off, and I'll show you more of a view as to where it is in Texas. So Texas is right here, right? And Fort Worth and way over here. But where I was showing you is way over here. And Big Springs had a huge oil refinery, and that was right down the road. And so this is my hometown here, Andrews, and it's a straight shot from there to Big Spring. You drive 67 miles, and there's nothing between those two things. But there was this massive oil refinery that you would drive by on there, and that's so. Let me show you. We're out here, okay?
What about water? You
see how far that is from the coast?
Yeah, wow.
That's a 7-8 hour drive. So I didn't grow up anywhere near water. That just wasn't a thing. And so I don't know anything about surfing.
Well, remember I was telling you about my friend that I met who's through the poetry page called Fan Story. Her name is Jimmy Saville. And Jimmy, he lives in Lake Charles in Louisiana. And she went through all that really bad cyclonic conditions like your tornado a few years ago, and they're just still recovering. It wiped their town out totally. And
I've driven because that's on I-10. So I-10 is down here. Let me see if I can pull it. I-10 is down here just east of Houston. I-10 comes across there, and then there's Lake Charles right there. So,
right. Well, Lake Charles, she lives there, and she's an amazing poet, and she follows my poetry a lot, which we've kept friends. And like Jimmy's, she's on a, like, I don't know, you're on a property, aren't you, Matt? How big is your property?
We live out in the middle of nowhere. It's been in my family since 1893. So
it's like, how many acres?
It's like 300.
Yeah, wow.
She's only on by Texas standards, that's not big.
No. See, you know, I tell you something, Matt. If you go back to Australia, you've got the east coast of Australia, which is all green, and we're fringe dwellers, and on the west coast is green. So you go from and across the middle, it's just when you get a plane to Bali, you cross Australia all the way, and honestly, you can see where all the greenery is right on either side. All the rest is just barren. There's nothing there. Where you've got Central America, and there's all towns and stuff. We've got nothing. That's all that where it says Australia on that map. Right. It's just nothing there. It's and we're if they could get that fertile. I mean, I look at your America, and you do a trip from west to east or east to west. You're going through all these beautiful towns, and you've got rivers and mountains in there. We've got flat plains for years, and like I say, you get on a road over there on the Nullarbor, which is the main road that goes from east to west. It comes in at South Australia and runs all the way along the southern bight, which is the Great Australian Bight at the bottom of Australia, and basically you get to Perth, and that road, I tell you what, you can go for 90 miles, and it's straight as a gun barrel. And I'm assuming you'd have the same sort of roads in America where
in West Texas, we definitely have that. And so that that kind of terrain is similar to where, I'm not saying it's the same, but it's like being on the moon. There are places out there that's just not anything. Now we have oil wells out there, but so I've never been to Australia. It's not worked out. I would like to go. I just haven't had a way, because a lot of our travel is not coming out of my pocket. It's funded by some other activity. So nothing's ever come up where I've been able to go to Australia, but it's something I always wanted to do. So Lord willing,
I tell you what, Matt, when you and Miriam do come, I've got a room out in I've got this big garage with the old study of my kids when they were doing university, and I'm going to that's going to be my guest room. I'm going to put steps down the side, go in, and you got your own shower and toilet. So when you come over to Australia, when Miriam is famous, and because she's going to be famous by the time I finish with her here, I'm going to put you up and show you. I'll be your chaperone.
So along those lines, tell me about you. You've been excited about. You have a radio thing coming up that.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, tell me. Okay. Not just that. Not okay. You can talk about that, but not just that. Tell me. You act like you've got like big plans. It sounds like. So tell me about what your plans are.
Right. Okay. So we go back a bit. So I'm doing the poetry, and I'm going to. I've got to tell this before I go. So I discovered poetry. So I'm writing 4 poems a night, and then I do the book. And I thought, I went to the nursing home to see my uncle that was old, and he was stuck in the nursing home. And I'm in his room, and I could sense there were people behind me. And I looked behind. There's about 4 or 5 old folk standing behind me in his room. And I go down to the nurse in the nursing home. I said, what's going on with these people in my uncle's room? He said, they're just lonely. No one bothers to come and see them. They don't get visitors. So anytime someone comes, it's a celebrity, and they all come down and want to be part. So I said to myself, well, if I ever get the chance to entertain people like that, I'm going to do it. And then it would have been a year or 2 later, I started writing poetry, and basically I thought I'll go down and do a live show with these. So that was great. I picked a few nursing homes, but you get people that would be in the front row, and they'd be, and then the people at the back would be going, oh, you said that last week. I remember that poem. So you get this diversity of old people. But it was just the fact that I could entertain these people, and I just do it for fun, Look, you just got to remember, my writing poetry and doing the lyrics is my passion surfing. This is just something to do overnight. It's just fun to me. But what I'm finding now, as people start to give me a little bit of credibility with my writing, I'm really enjoying the fact that people are embracing it and putting music to that, like Mother Merm and Phil and all those. And if it wasn't for Peter starting Twitch, I would never have gone this way with what's happening. Look, Facebook's great, but because when I write to pictures a lot of the times, or a comment, and that's an inspiration. It's just a word, and then off I go. And I write all my poems in 5 minutes. I don't think, and they're all one draft. If I hit the wrong button and I don't save it to a Word doc, it's gone, and I can't remember what I can remember songs from the lyrics from the 70s, but I can't remember where I leave my car keys. That's my short-term memory is getting worse. So basically, I sort of I'm losing my train of thought here, but so with the my mind's going flat out with different tangents. So I did the nursing home gigs, and then I thought, I'm going to one day do a one man show. So I've got this little bucket list of published a book, tick. Entertain the nursing homes, tick. went, I did my own one-man show, tick. Promoted Mother Moon in Australia and become famous, tick,
Oh man. So Peter's the guy, right? He's the guy
yes.
This is the guy?
Yes. And now
right.
Peter's got his own stream, and we've Miriam's rated Peter a couple of times, and I've told Peter about, and I've told all, because we follow Peter and we call the Twitch Coats, which is Northcote with Twitch. So and every Thursday night Peter plays live at a venue in Sydney. It's about 25 minutes from home, and it's called the Ramblin' Rascal. And he plays, and he has. This is a slow love. Now this is a pretty old, because his hair's grey now, still long, but he's not. It's not grey. It's now grey. So that's got to be a few years. Although I got a feeling he was dying at there. But mate, he is the most amazing. He just had breakfast with Tommy Emmanuel the other day, and he is the most humblest. Generous guy you could ever meet, and he is the reason. His whole life is from 9 has been playing guitar. So he's played in, and when there's a couple of Australian bands that he filled in for and became a member of that band, Dragon, the Angels, famous. You probably heard of those two bands, and basically. I mean, you guys know Midnight Oil, you know AC/DC because they've been over to America. Some of the bands that we've got in Australia probably haven't got as much airplay in Australia, but Pete played in Dragon and he's done his own. He's done about 5 albums, but what he found, CDs, like people they just grab stuff off Spotify, and so he's got garage fulls of CDs. He said he wouldn't. It's interesting listening to Peter because he's sort of his attitude about music now. Like he's at a stage in his life where he'd prefer to set up a stream online at home than go out carrying all his gear to a live gig. So he gets he's like 63 now. So he's at that age now, and we've all become his followers, and there would be 100 plus on his stream, even more sometimes. And we follow him, and there's a group of us that live in Sydney that go in every Thursday night and watch him live, and he'll get various musicians to as guests. So each week is a different set list, and you'd have a Virginia Lilly, Susanna Morana, Rick Herbert, Pete Millwood, Ali Friendship. He's got a stable of amazing musicians who in their own right are great musicians. But then last night he had young Reno Teresi, who's only 18, as a drummer. And so he's got a series of drummers he uses, a series of bass players he uses. He's just spreads the love. He just gets them all to have a go at coming in, and they all love it because Pete is just the best conductor of organising. And a lot of times, then learning songs on the spur of the moment that the drummer might know that song, and he'll feed them. He'll just sort of teach them through it. And as a layman, in the audience, you don't know. You wouldn't know that. And you can see sometimes when they stuff up a lyric, you'll have a wry smile to the bass player. But as a layman, it all sounds amazing to me because I'll just sit and be mesmerised.
So tell me about what were some of your favorite artists when you were younger, and then how's it changed over time? Because you obviously enjoy music. Okay, it's not just the writing. You long before you're writing lyrics and stuff, you were still already loving music. Tell me about some of your early band favorites.
Right. My first album I ever bought was Led Zeppelin 4, which was Stairway to Heaven, When the Levee Breaks, Battle of Evermore, that album. And Deep Purple, Machine Head, which was Smoke on the Water, Highway Star. That sort of rock. But why I was a Neil Young tragic. I had every Neil Young album. I had the title, the signature Neil Young album from, I think it was 69 or 70 it came out. And then because he joined Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. So I love that Neil Young stuff. After the Gold Rush, Harvest, obviously, and then all the other Mirrorball. There was just so many albums. And then he came out a few times. I watched him live in concert. He's a very unique character, Neil. And but then I had the kids and I just listened to music on the radio a bit. I never went out to live bands when the kids were younger. I just was really the family man bit. But the last 5 years of my life, I can honestly say I've never been in a more happier headspace. And a lot is to do with Peter and his love of music and what he's done for me therapeutically. Music has just been a great sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Solace. It's just been a great sort of getting away from reality. And Pete does a stream on Wednesdays called Chillax, and it's just all his instrumentals. He plays acoustic beautifully. I mean, it's just amazing. So it was Peter, as I said before, that got us to go to Twitch. And Twitch has been the conduit to join the world with musicians that probably would never have got a chance to show their stuff on a world basis.
Sure.
And as you know, it's been fantastic. So hence I've met Mother Merm and Steve Ford and Tom in Boston is one that does. But I've got favourites now, and obviously the fact that they've embraced my lyrics and are willing to do these live improvs has given me the incentive to want to write to their style of singing. So I'm writing now. I know what Kevin does with he does violin. I'm sure Miriam is aware of Num, and he does violin.
We like him a lot.
He's great, and he's done a few. He does a lot of repetition. So I write my songs that I want him to have a go at with a lot of I go and visit and do repetition.
So hold it. I'll go ahead, finish it. I got something I got to ask you about him though.
Yeah. Okay. And then so when Miriam come on the scene, and that voice. As you know, you got to live with that voice for all your life. How good is that? I mean, I'm jealous, and she's just got the voice that just. I mean, she has changed my attitude to that genre of music. I just love it. So with that poem, with that song, The Reason, and what was the one we called the other one? The two that we've done recently, The Reason and. I keep on forgetting the name I called it.
If you can't remember it, I don't feel bad about not remembering it.
Well, I tell you what it is. It's quite easy because I've got the list here. It's called Not the Best at Saying. That was the last one she's done. And honestly, those two, now as you were going to segue into this fellow, he owns a radio station in Sydney called 2NBC 90.5.1 FM. And he has been, I've known him since his kids were doing surf club, which is nippers, which is like a beach running and surfing, and that with the kids, they learn about ocean technique.
So hold it. So did you say zippers? Is that what they're called if they're young?
Nippers.
Nippers.
Like,
okay, I thought.
A nipper. A nipper is a young child, but in relation to the ocean, I suppose it would be related to crabs with nippers. But so I've known this guy Paul McGrath, who owns this radio station. Since I was in the 90s, right? Now, Paul found out that I did the book, and so he got me to interview me on his radio, and I said a few poems because I started to do open mic poetry back later on, but I started to do a couple of radio interviews with Paul. He had me on as a guest a couple of times, and he's watched me evolve with my stuff and doing the one-man show. And I told him the other day, my wife had to go over to the hospital right near Paul's suburb, and I walked down I had to wait an hour for Lee. So I went down and I went and knocked on the radio station, and we had a talk. And I said, look, I've discovered writing song lyrics is where I want to go with my life. And I have a lady that I just love what she's done. And I gave him The Reason and Not the Best at Saying. And for his genre of audience, they said they would love that. So next Tuesday, I'm doing a pre-recorded interview with Paul on that station, and then he's going to play it on Friday in his morning breakfast show, where he's going to come in with The Reason and finish with Not the Best at Saying, and talk about where I'm going with my poetry regarding changing it to song lyrics. And so I'm looking forward to that, because I get to expose Mother Moom's beautiful voice in Sydney. Only local station, but you got to crawl before you walk here, Matt. So
Miriam has sung on a lot of different countries, on a lot of different continents, and people generally like it. I can say that for sure.
Oh man! So I love the way you underplay her beautiful voice, because you got to live with that voice every day.
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about that. So back early on, I would tell people that my wife was an incredible singer, and they would just look at me like, yeah, because it's your wife. Sure, you're going to think that, and so just people's response to me saying that, I wasn't like bragging. I was just like, she's good, and then just the way people responded, I just like, well, and I just quit telling anybody anything. I was just like, and then people would give me a really hard time when they would hear her, and they would be mad at me like, why didn't you tell us she was that good? And I'm like, well, I got tired of people acting like I'm just saying that because I'm her husband. And so over time, it kind of fluctuates. I mean, because I know what's good. Yeah. I mean, I've been around musicians my whole life, and I know what a good musician sounds like. And that would include Miriam. But undoubtedly. What are you going to say?
Undoubtedly. What are you going to say? And to have a family that are all like got that ability to sing. Like, I mean, I've heard Miriam's your daughter sing too.
Morgan can sing extremely well.
Yeah.
You haven't even got the first.
I'm not even touching the sides here. Yeah. I'm at the tip of the iceberg,
Well, Miriam's funny. I don't think there's any doubt in Miriam's mind and what she would say that Morgan is exceptionally good singer. What's funny though is that when her son sings, she almost immediately wants to cry if she doesn't cry. She is when her son sings, he's got a lovely voice and very, very good as well. But it's just funny that there's something about his voice that gets to her like extra something. So it's fun to see that, because, I've got this random question. Okay. And I have been trying to figure out when and how I would ask you, and I've just got to stop. I was going to try to come up with some interesting segue, but we're not going to get there. This is what Thoughtstorm wants to know.
I'm agreed. Actually, you know what? Dippy, I'll tell you how it all started. Dippy is my nickname from school, and it's because my last name is Mark Depena, spelled D-E space P-E-N-A. My great-great-granddad was from the Cape Verde Islands off the coast of West Africa. He came across to Australia on a collier ship back in the 1880s, and he settled in Park Road at Ramsgate. He went across Western Australia, like it's 3,000 miles across. So he's made his way across to the east coast and into a suburb that's just north of me called Ramsgate. And so he had Simon Peter Depena and Dave Depena as his sons. And Peter was my grandfather, who had 4 boys, one of them being my father. And my father had me and my 2 sisters. I've had my 2 sons and my daughter. And my son has a little boy named Grayson Depena. So now the name lives on. So my name continues, and they've all taken my nickname. So my daughter is Dippy, my sons are Dippy, but my granddad was never Dippy, and I don't know why they never had a nickname for him, but my dad was Neville the Devil because his father's name was Neville. Neville was his name, and one of his boats, he's built ski boats, and one of his boats was called Neville the Devil. And he's the nifty Nev. But my dad, as you saw in that photo, was amazingly strong kid. He was only 5'5", 4. I'm only 5'6". I'm only a small bloke. And my kids they love to show me how tall they are. They're about 5'8", 5'9". I think as your generations go, your kids get bigger. It might be the hormones in the chicken, I reckon. And but you tend to grow bigger than your kids, you know. The kids grow bigger than you. So my sons are a little bit taller than me, and hopefully with generations, we'll get back to being bigger than pygmies.
Okay. There you go. Good luck. We'll keep moving forward. So I was just going to say,
answer?
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. So Dippy it just evolved. There was that.
Yes, Dippy. So I used that name. I thought, well, I'll write under the name Dip. So hence, that's why this book has got
Dip.
Yeah.
It's on the other side. It's on the other side.
Geez, I'm hopeless at this. Well, I'll get used to it. Anyway, so that book is purely under that pen name Dip. I'm on here as Dippy 2230 because 2230 is my postcode in Cronulla. So
there you go. Now we know. Now people know.
Cronulla is such a country town in relation to everyone knows what everyone's doing. And so everyone down the beach in the surfing fraternity, they know me as Dippy. They wouldn't even know my name properly. I'd say, who's Mark Dipina? No, that's Dippy. I'll give you something funny. My son, Matthew, he's a teacher at my local school, which we back onto the primary school, which is the school before year 7, which is when you turn 12. It's just kindergarten, primary, and then so they had to just walk through a gate through the back fence into the school, and then after that they went to high school, which was 400 metres from my house, called Woolaware High. After that they finished school. Matthew became a teacher in the teaching PE health. So his first job was as a casual teacher at the school he went to. He has been down there for 15 years as a casual, teaching PE health and now industrial arts or marine studies. So we haven't gone far from the house. We're hobbits. We never leave the Shire, as they call it, like as in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I got it.
And so basically he's Dippy. So I'm down the beach one day and there's all these school kids with Woolaware High uniforms on. And I come up, I said, hey, how you going? Look, my son teaches down there. Do you know him? What's his name? I said, well, Mr. Dipina. They go, nah, I never heard of him. Oh, they call him Dippy. Well, he's our favourite teacher. We love Dippy. And so they only know him as his nickname. And they don't call him Mr. They call him Dippy. So Dippy has been, and my daughter's Dippy. So the only one that's not Dippy is my wife. It's not Dippy because we're gone in the head. It's more just it's a bastardization of bastardization of Dipina.
All right,
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That's the kind of stuff we're here to learn today. That's all there is to know.
Yeah. So give me a hard question, will you?
Yeah. Well, I the thing is that I got something for you to check out. I did another interview earlier today. I spent an interview kind of day. So what happens is when I'm trying to set up these interviews with people, it's a challenge scheduling them to make it when people are available. So there's this one particular lady I've been trying to do an interview with for quite a while. And I didn't want to keep doing I can't do this day. Can you do this day? No, I can't do that day. Can you do it? And we're just going, I didn't want that to keep happening. and we're getting ready to be on the road for next week. So Sunday we're not going to be able to do a stream because we're going to be driving through some really bad weather. But we're going to be out of town, and so I thought it was going to be a long time. So she said I can do it today, and I was like, well, so I rescheduled some stuff, and it's been a long day of interviews. I'm happy to do it. Let's be very clear.
Is it a musician? Was it a musician?
Very much so. I'll get it posted. She went to the Grammys the last 2 years, like as somebody nominated for Grammys. So yeah, she's a musician. Yeah. She's a very, very accomplished musician. And so yeah, you can check that stream out as well. But it's been fun to talk to a wide variety of people who love music, because everybody's got their own take on it and their own engagement with and their own interests. And that's what I like about music so much, is because you can talk to almost anybody. There's some people that really don't do music at all, and they're
But Matty, just on that, I do find the 70s, 80s, 90s genre compared to the when I was doing the open mic poetry, the first half of the night was poets just reciting. The second half was street rappers doing rap. And I've gone, oh, yeah. Well, I've got to appreciate just how talented these people were at remembering lyrics. And so I would be so enthralled. And I met some really great rappers in that time. But I've got to say my soft spot is 80s and 90s music, 70s, 80s, 90s, what Miriam plays, because those artists, like, you know, and you look at guys like, and what gives me a bit of hope is when I see guys like, and look, I'm just a hack, get it wrong, Bernie Taupman, who does all the lyrics for Elton,
right?
And Elton will see those lyrics. So there's got to be people out there that can write music, but they can't write lyrics. I write all these in 5 minutes, and seriously, I don't think I've written a poem where I've laboured over words. I mean, and it's usually an inspiration or a spontaneous sort of question. Like I wrote a poem the other day when I was on Numb screen, and it was "I'm a Lucky Man," and it was a song. It was a lyrics about his wife Jenna, and he played it the other day, and I said, "Well, that is no one else will play that song. That is yours as a gift. I want you to keep that and always." And so he was pretty rapt with that, and I was too, because he did a beautiful job. But it's like with Miriam, because I really would, I would dearly love her to like, especially the reason and not the best at saying is to actually do those like as a full production with you and do it in a studio, because I really do think that she just made them sound credible, and her interpretation, having not even seen the words, just off the cuff, was just incredible. And every time I play it to people, they go, "I can't believe she's never seen these words before." And that's the ability that she's got. I mean, you know it, and you probably take it for granted now, just her ability, but it's still so.
I don't take it for granted, because one of the things you've probably heard along the way during some of the streams is that when we started doing this, Miriam obviously is talented, and she's gigged for years. She's trained. She's got lots of practical experience. She's got natural talent, crazy good. But as she's been on Twitch, this whole process has expanded what she's comfortable with. So the idea of doing an improvisation like what she does, that you're saying probably take for granted, I don't take that for granted, because that kind of thing I don't think she would have done in the past. And so there's a level of difficulty and a level of spontaneity and being willing to try a song she's never done before that has developed. I'm not saying it was never there, but I'm saying, but it's developed and matured because of Twitch. And I count that as a blessing, because you take somebody who's that talented, who's been doing it for so long, and she loves doing it, but at the same time, there's there's a skill that she's honed and that she's really developed because of Twitch, that I know that she enjoys it. I enjoy it. I mean, I sit there and listen to it. I don't do it out of duty. I enjoy listening to her sing every time. I don't get tired of it. And so,
do you know what, Matt? You know
granted.
what I'm so rapt about is the fact that when I first heard her, and I knew there was a couple of songs after I was listening to her voice that's why anyone who has a heart, I knew, because Peter's got a friend that did it on his stream, and I thought, this is Miriam to the T. So I'm so glad that she embraced that song, because she does it so beautifully. And Fix You is another one that was, if I ever visit a stream and they say, have you got a request? I used to always say Fix You, but man, I tell you, she's just got a way of interpreting songs, and the way she can pick up, like there's some things that aren't piano songs, they're guitar songs or whatever, but she can still manage to make them sound credible on a piano. And I'm just in awe that, because I would love to be able to play an instrument, but I just haven't got the patience. But you know, I'm just happy that she did that. But before I came along and said, you want to try putting words to my music, had she done many improvs before that?
I don't think so. I mean, she was doing live learns where she would take an existing song, find the music, but yeah, that's having some
but to make a song up on the bar, I feel that makes my day. I sort of introduced it to her, because you know what, it's like all artists that have got humility and they probably downgrade their own talent. I mean, she must know that she can sing, and she does, but she does. I don't think she realizes just how beautiful that voice is. And I know I'm sort of probably sucking up here, but honestly, it just to listen to. When I see she's on the first, I thought, oh wow, what a great night I'm going to have here. And the beauty of Twitch is you've got so much diversity in styles. You've got like Kevin, that's totally different to Merm. You've got Phil Smythe in England, and Steve Forward, and Pete Northcote. He's not a singer in his own right. He'll admit that he's not. His forte is not singing; it's playing guitar. That's why he always gets guest lead singers. But look, you know, I'm just at that stage in my life now, like, you know, turning 70, to find an interest. If I know I won't be able to surf for the rest of my life, and I'm thinking, what will I enjoy when I can't be as mobile and as agile as what I am now? And that would be doing what I'm doing with writing and getting involved with lyric writing, because I was the harshest critic with my words. I thought, no, they're nothing. But then I started to listen to lyrics a lot more intently, and I realised that, geez, I'm telling a story here, and I don't think my lyrics aren't that bad. So I started to believe in what I was writing. And then when Miriam got those two, especially those two, The Reason and that, and I watched her singing them, and as she's singing each phrase and each line, and she had this smile on her face as if she's saying, oh, I'm really enjoying the words I'm singing. And that sort of, to me, was just a real sort of, kudos to me that I could actually write. I don't know if that's true or not. I might be seeing a wrong impression, but she always made me feel like she was enjoying singing what she's reading. But I'd have to.
Yeah, it's something that you are clearly going to continue to do, and at the volume that you're producing, this is a word of encouragement. I have to say that sometimes, because sometimes I don't word it quite right. But the Beatles are known as to be a very, very, very successful, talented group of guys, right? However, we don't remember all of their songs. Like, they did volume as well. I mean, like, so. Yeah.
Well, I'm up to 5,337 poems.
You've taken volume to a whole nother level. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that anything you do and you practice at, for the most part, people are going to get better. They're going to figure out how to dial it in, and
even 1 in 100. If there's 100 songs, and she grabs one, and goes with it, I mean, out of all the people I've and look, this is just fun to me. I don't expect all I would expect in this would be to say lyrics by Dip. That would make my day. It's not my bread and butter. This is just fun. Where other people they go, oh look, you can copyright that and you get royalties and all this. Look, I'm 70 years old next. It's past. This is my buzz is just listening and actually just the appreciation that people actually do like what they read and make something of them. I mean, I would dearly love, as I said, Matt, and this is the person that I would love it to happen with, is that Miriam would lay down a few tracks, in a mini EP of my lyrics with her beautiful words. Because now that it's on VOD, she knows what chord progression she used. And she's just got to learn that like a live learn now.
Now let me set expectations here, because the answer is that sounds like totally doable. However, you've got to get in line, because I've got two huge albums that have been in progress for over 2 years that I have to finish. And I mean, I know you would be happy to cut, but I've got so many projects I have to finish before I start doing that kind of stuff. Your redeem points. Yeah. So I just want to make sure you understand. We're not just we're not bums. I'm trying to be responsible and take care of the people I owe things to. Because what are you doing with this guy from Australia? You haven't done my project yet. And so I've got a totally random question. You've mentioned Numb the Geek a couple of times.
Yeah.
So he does a song that he says cracky in it a bunch. It's about Steve Irwin. Is that it? Have you ever heard him sing this song?
Who are we talking about?
Numb the Geek.
Oh, hang on. Which he does a song called, and it says cracking.
No, cracking. I mean, he's like Steve Irwin. It's about
Steve Irwin, the
Aussie.
No, I'm just trying to think of the line.
Crikey. I'm sorry. I'm saying it wrong.
Crikey. Crikey. CRIKEY.
I got totally distracted.
Steve Irwin was he died, as you know, from a stingray.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
and that's
Steve Irwin.
In this song.
He probably like Crocodile Dundee. He was brought credibility to the Aussies into America, and a lot of people embraced it. Well, he actually married an American lady, and that since then the zoo that they had going. His kids have now grown up and they're running that with his mum. But Steve, I tell you a funny story about Steve Irwin. Now, Steve Irwin, he was the crocodile. He'd wrestle crocodiles and all that sort of stuff. Now, I went in 94, I went surfing in Fiji on this remote island. I'm out there and there's a boat parked to the side. I'm the only guy in the water and I'm surfing, and this guy paddles over and we're surfing with each other for about an hour. And I'm looking at this guy going, Jesus, I know this guy's face. And I said, mate, I know your face. We've been surfing for an hour together and you've just come from that boat. He said, I'm Steve Irwin. I'm the crocodile man. And I've gone, oh, yeah, from Australia. Yeah. Hey, tell me, do you actually drug those crocodiles before you wrestle them? Well, he got the shits with me. He was so pissed off that I had actually thought that he'd drugged the. He paddled off and he wouldn't talk to me after that because I said, oh, they must be staged up and drugged up, and he got really offended that I thought that they weren't, just him wrestling the crocodiles. So so that was my one-on-one contact.
So you hurt his feelings. So
I hurt his feelings.
You need to check with Numb the Geek, and I can't remember the name of that song. If anybody on this,
okay, I will.
It's a song about. I didn't know if you haven't heard it, you got to hear it, and then you can tell me what you think about it. It's pretty.
What I do find, because of the time differences, like sometimes people that I wanted to listen to might be happening at 3 a.m. But I was saying that because I did shift work for 35 years, my circadian rhythms are all over the place. So I call it the witching hour. I get very creative from about midnight, and I stay up till 3 o'clock. And because America turns on from about 12 o'clock with time zone, I get to see some of these people that I would normally not see during the day. So because they're sleeping when I'm awake. So it works out really good. There's a time frame that works at 6 o'clock and me 9 o'clock in the morning. It's working really well, but other times it mightn't work. But that's just the way the world is.
Just be looking for that. Be looking for that song. Be looking for that song from the Geek. Kevin, it's Kevin, right?
The Geek. All right.
Yeah.
Kevin. Yeah. I don't know his last name. Kevin. Yeah. He's a great. I love it. I love every guy that I follow. There's a reason why I follow, and
sure.
But he's and the fact that he's willing to do some, because a lot of them get a bit precious about, I've got my own stuff. I'm not interested in live learning something new. Well, it's only going to be crap lyrics anyway. Right. And then but then people like Miriam and Kevin and Phil, who also did see, and he's done another one called 7 Days, and he's going to work on it even more and actually lay it down. And that sort of thing is just a buzz for me, because I'm not a musician, and to have someone actually grab my lyrics, it's a real buzz, because it's another part of my life. I've just been surfing and family, but I've never been into. It's only in the last 10 years all this has happened. I hadn't picked up a pen in anger in writing. But can I do before? I'd love to. I know I'm digressing, but there's a poem that I learned, and I did it at the opening of the of my show. It's 16 verses. I know it off by heart.
No. 1 second though. I want to do that, but I want to show you something that Laura came up. Laura's in the chat.
Oh, hey, Laura Gale.
She found something I want to share with you, because it's a very interesting overlap with. Okay, so we talked about Bali, right? And we talked about Sting and his song. And I told you about my buddy, Johnny Marciano, right? Right?
Yeah.
You got all that? You tying all that together?
Yes.
All right. There's Johnny with Sting.
Oh,
in
Sting.
Bali.
Wow. Now, that's a young Sting. That's got to be a few years.
Yeah. But it's still my buddy Johnny in Bali with Sting. And that ties all of this together. So, yeah.
Do you know what?
And Laura found it. I didn't know that picture was out there.
That's great, Laura. But I got to tell you this. When Jeff Beck died, you know Jeff Beck, the guitarist? American, yeah. Right. Jeff Beck, they did a tribute show. Peter organised 6 lead guitarists to do it, and they all sang different Jeff Beck instrumentals. And what Jeff Beck did with one year was with Curtis Mayfield's song People Get Ready. And he did a version of People Get Ready with Rod Stewart. And Rod Stewart sang People Get Ready, and Jeff played the guitar. Well, what happened in this tribute night, one of the guitarists was good friends with Dominic Miller, who is Sting's lead guitarist. And Sting was in over here doing a concert in Australia, and this night he was off. There was nothing on. And so Dominic came in to do a rehearsal, because he wanted to sing one of Jeff Beck's instrumentals or play. So he came in and did a rehearsal, and he went back and told, as he calls him, the boss, and said, listen, these guys are really good. Why don't you come over and we'll surprise him? And so Pete got wind of what he was doing. And so Peter learnt, well, he knew this song, People Get Ready by Curtis Mayfield. If you look it up, it was an old, Curtis Mayfield was going back, but Rod Stewart does a version of it. I think there's a few people that do. Sting does a version of it. Well, Sting, so Dominic's on stage, and next minute Pete goes, I've got someone else to bring out. And next minute Sting walks out on stage at local, and he does People Get Ready, and Pete does the accompaniment for it. And everyone in the audience just went, oh, my God, it's Sting. To see him, and he's just got a charisma about him when he sings. And he's done this. You know the song I'm talking about, don't you? People Get Ready?
Oh, yeah.
People Get Ready with a chain of joy. Oh, no, I can't sing. But that song, he was just amazing. And everyone just, we still talk about to this day that he was willing to come on and do this song just at a local venue out of the blue, and everyone just in the audience just went, that is him. It's not someone who is a copy of him. And he actually wrote back an email back and said to Dominic, look, tell your mate that was amazing. These guys were so talented. And that's like Peter doing this tribute show. And Pete does a birthday bash every year at the local Lees Club. He did a tribute show with Led Zepp, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, a tribute show. That was only recent. And the quality of production that he does, and the artists, he has 8 different artists come on. And, like, I can't believe that $35, that's like $17 American to see this amazing 2-hour show. You start to feel a bit guilty that you're watching such quality. And it's just that there's so many musicians out there that do covers and all that, and there are some, and what you've seen from Twitch is just how many amazing musicians around the world there are that would never have been discovered if not for that platform. And Twitch was a gaming platform, as you know.
Well, it wasn't. It's not that it wasn't. It still is.
Yes. But the musicians have embraced it since. So if there's one legacy from COVID that's been great is the fact that people discovered Twitch more than ever, because they couldn't do anything but be at home because of the lockdown.
So I got 2 things for you. One of which is I found Laura hooked me up with the title of the song you're looking for. The crocodile hunter should have been eaten by a crocodile.
All right.
Because he should have happened according to him.
It is. Do you know what? It's so true, because if I'm gonna die, I'd like to think I was on a perfect wave and I died. Right. I don't want to die with cancer in a bed for 40 years. Right. And same with Steve. He wrestled crocodiles. Right. He should have been eaten by a crocodile, not stung by a stinger.
You need to check out that song.
I'll request that when I'm on his stream.
Definitely do that. So here's the other thing I was going to ask you. You're telling me all this stuff about Peter. At some point in the future, I think it would be a lot of fun to interview Peter, because I don't know him, and I would love to hear.
He would love to do it.
Well, you can introduce the idea to him, and then once it feels like, because people have different schedules, there's always times of the year that it's more convenient than others. They're not in a big hurry here, but like I said, you can float that idea out there, because I think that would be a lot of fun. I'd like to learn more about the guy and hear some stories and stuff like that.
Mate, I've got so many people that you would, as guests, that you would love their history of music, and there's a lot of people from Twitch that I've met that are great musicians in their own right. But like Pete was the other day, I was having a breakfast with Tommy Emmanuel. Now, everyone knows Tommy Emmanuel, and he's like he's the most down to earth guy. And so is Pete. Like, Pete will come out in the audience. He's not precious about what he does, and he'll come out and sit there with you and talk to you. I mean, I'm his little roadie. I carry his guitar, his amp down each Friday. I got a parking spot there so he can park in the city. City parking's really a pain, so I'll wait for him. So I'll get sort of jigged about being his little roadie. But you know what? I don't mind, because I just love watching him play guitar. He's just, to be up like 6 foot away from his guitar and watch his fingers play that up and down that. It's like watching Miriam on a piano. But I mean, was Miriam ever a guitarist as well, Matt?
I actually have a recording of her when she was 10 years old, accompanying herself on the guitar, singing 110 Soldier. And I'll send you a link to that. It will blow your mind, because you will hear a kid and you're like, oh my gosh, she's always had it. So she doesn't play the guitar, but she can play the guitar, but that's not her thing.
Well, as you know, I'm good friends with Dixie's mum, with like Miriam's mum on Facebook now. Yeah. And we both always talk about Miriam, but what I love about Dixie's mum, she actually likes my poetry, which, anyone that enjoys what I write is going to be a good friend.
That's fair. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, let's I am going to go try to get something to eat. I'm kind of tired and hungry a little bit, so I don't want to get hangry. We got Bold Contrast just said something, and can you read all that there?
Covers her thing, very common. It seems like Dippy is creating a new way to do existence by just using alternate lyrics. Oh, yeah. Look, this is right. I call it parodies. People call it alternate lyrics.
No, it's not a parody.
I would not. I wouldn't. No, a parody's like Mount El Yankovic. Look, all my poems are from me. They're from the heart. There's nothing plagiarized. If I ever did things like what I did with Sting, I would give full credit the fact that, and say, I would never say that it's obvious that song
we
is.
Know that. We get it.
Yeah.
We get it.
But I know
it's fun though. It's a thing though.
Yeah. But
so you're going to read. You're going to do.
I want to do this one. I want to do this one that I do. I do this, and I do it in character. I do it with an handicap hat on, and I do it with glasses. And where are my glasses?
All right.
Well, only because, here we are. Only because I'm trying to, so I haven't got the hat, but we won't worry about that. So I'll put these on, right? And I just put them,
all right.
And I put on this voice. So this is the one that I was in the audience. I come up on stage from.
I'm going to go away. You get the whole screen to yourself.
All right, here we go. Okay, so this is a one I wrote about the vagaries of getting old. And I know it off by heart. It goes like this. Got to face the ugly truth. I'm getting old. I miss my youth. The mirror doesn't lie. Now there's proof. The image I see's not good. It's truth. Never minded going to the mirror, but that was in a different era. Now it can't be any clearer. Old age is now my biggest fear, huh? Age is never very forgiving. It creeps up on you when you're busy living, and all of a sudden you see a belly, and from the lounge you can't see the telly. Your whole flexibility starts to suffer. Getting out of that lounge, it's getting tougher. Your legs are bowed, your back's now bent. Old age has showed you now well lent. Those lines on your face are now deep and furrowed. Those laughter lines are now well burrowed. They're well entrenched like the feet of a crow. When will they end? Fucked if I know. Those naps are getting longer. Those reading glasses are getting stronger. That little ball patch is getting bigger. And I've really lost my boyhood figure. By last year, this is hard. I'm eligible for a pension card. So where does my life go? It's all just memories. Speaking of which, my pecs are now memories. I don't remember much these days. Things seem like just a haze. I really thought it was just a phase. It's not just a conversation I can't raise. And as for all my toilet issues, I always carry a box of tissues. You just never know when you might spring a leak. Incontinence is a bummer when your bladder's weak. I even sometimes wear a nappy, which doesn't make me very happy. It's more for wee than any crappy. No, I'm not a happy chappy. I'm still driving, if you please. I would be out there if I could find my keys. It's pissing me off just like my wheeze. Oh, dementia really is such a tease. My memory's fading. Did I tell you that? I can't remember. Have we had this chat? Just seems so long since I've seen you last, but it's only been seconds. Time goes so fast. Now they're talking about this thing called Viagra. Makes your old fella flow like Niagara. Makes it stand to attention. Makes your old pecker stronger. Gives love an extension. Makes it last much longer. When I'm laying in bed while I'm making love, my loving wife looking down from above, then she says, was that good for you too? I don't remember. I haven't got a clue. So if you go searching for the fountain of youth, take plenty of bottles, because I'm telling you the truth. You can drink all the water that you like, but once old age has got you, it's a long bloody hike. So make the most of those days being young, because if life is a ladder, I'm on the top rung. Do all the things you want to do in your youth, because you'll get dementia and forget them. Now, ain't that the truth? That's it.
That was great, man. You embodied it. Yeah, you that was. But
I was fully in uniform. I don't know. I was probably getting out of vision. On the stage, I've got the whole stage to work. Oh yeah,
you got the whole thing. Okay, so Thought Storms is a thespian. Okay, he is a trained actor who's been on stage more than once, and this is what he has for you: standing ovation.
Oh wow!
And mate, then you've got...
I watched Thought Storm's interview with you yesterday, and really? As soon as he started to talk about improvisation, I just couldn't leave it. I had to watch it because I could relate to what he's saying, and the fact that he did art. Because before I got into poetry, I was the only kid at art school at class with all the girls, and in one of the surf trips recently, I started to, we had no surf, so I got a bit bored. I found some lucky stones on the local beach, and I went up to the local art supply and I bought some Posca pens and some other pens. What are the other ones there? I got a whole series of pens. It's up the back. Anyway, so what it is, I started to draw on the lucky stones in dot art, which is like Aboriginal art in dots. And I also did some surfing photos. I drew the surfer on the rock. Now the rocks are probably yay big. I'd say 3 inches. Look, here's a classic. That's the size of the rock. I'm starting one there, right?
No, so basically, you didn't hold it. You didn't show me. I got to see the whole. You got to put it in the frame. What size? Yeah, there we go. No, there you go. Rock.
Okay. Now the idea is that's the start of one. I've been too busy digressing towards song lyrics to get back to art. I did about 40 of these pictures, and what I'll do, I'll put it up on Miriam's Discord. I've got about 40 rocks, and I gave them all to people. In Australia, we've got this thing called New South Wales.
Did you see what Laura put?
My degree is in art history. Oh. Whoa. I tell you what, you know what I love about, hey, Matty, you know what I love about the followers is that you find out about their history and the different personalities. And it's amazing what you find out. And people, unless they're prompted or something inspires them to say that, they'll hold back.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. I just got a phone call. I know who it's from. One sec.
We're going to listen.
Adele? Is that you, Adele? It's Adele. Yeah. You can't use the. No. Look, it's Miriam's song. You can use it another time. Okay. Don't hassle me about all the time. Just you stick to your own stuff. You know, like all your other songs. I'm going to use Miriam. Okay. Thanks anyway for your offer. Sorry. Yeah. It was Adele. Adele
you're definitely theatrical.
She wants to use. I'm getting hassled by Adele, Chris Martin. They all want to use my bloody lyrics. So I don't know what it's like now. I don't think I can handle being famous. I'm going to have to go back to being Dippy.
Oh man. Well, I'm going to look at I'm going to pull some pictures up on Facebook, and I'm going to play something in the background that I pulled up. And this is totally not planned.
Can you please play the reason or not best at saying for the people that mightn't have seen it?
I will do that. We will do that. But before that, I want you to hear just briefly a little something I mentioned earlier, because I just found it. Okay, you ready? Miriam's going to hate this.
Oh, this is the 10-year-old Miriam.
10-year-old. You ready?
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
She's going to hate me for doing this.
Oh, good on her.
Listen, children, to a story that was written long ago.
She sounds the same.
On a mountain and the valley
she was born to sing. Oh my God.
Was a treasure buried
That is.
And she's accompanying herself.
That is amazing. To learn. Wow. Oh, you got to send me that. I'll hold it for ammunition. I'll use that as a blackmail.
Yeah, that's
great.
The pitch. Kids don't do pitch well.
I say, Miriam, you don't put the reason out. I'm going to put that on Australian radio. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Well, you can see her voice already there.
Oh, yeah,
definitely. I reckon you could pick that was Miriam's voice already. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy that was a young child accompanying themselves, sounding like that. That's crazy.
Look, Maddie, I know you play it down because we only know each other from Miriam's streams virtually, but there's a lot I don't know about you two in what you've done historically, and I know that there's a lot more that she's done with but her background was with the church choir and stuff too. Did she do a lot of that? Or
well, she did some of that, and she got a degree in college. So yeah.
In what? In what degree? What? In music?
She got a music degree.
Wow.
I talked her into getting a minor in business, and so let me see if I can pull.
So how long have you guys been together?
We met each other in '83.
Wow.
And let's see. I'm going to see if I can pull up the song you're requesting. But yeah, the thing is, you're talking about Miriam and being gifted. I know this because so Miriam and I are very sincere in our belief that our Creator is to be known and loves everybody and blesses us, and we want to bless other people. And so we're very serious about our Christianity, our faith. I don't like to talk about religion. People talk about I'm a follower of Christ, because Christianity means different things to different people. But my point is that in that context, I've been in a lot of different situations, events, moments where Miriam was singing and leading worship or just singing a special. And it is unprompted. Total strangers, people at the events or whatever, would come up and just be crying. And it was obvious that God was using Miriam to touch the person, not just because Miriam was talented as a musician, but there was something else going on there where, God was talking to this person through the song that Miriam sang. And I have to tell you, I've seen that happen so many times that I take it very, very seriously. So yes, Miriam loves to sing, Nazareth, love love her. You know, all these crazy different songs. But the fact of the matter is that she has been given this gift, and we don't take it lightly. And when you see people moved, and here's the thing about it, I've seen this happen when I know for a fact that Miriam wasn't feeling it that day. You know, she wasn't, I don't think Miriam's ever mailed it in, but, you know, she wasn't feeling particularly moved. It was just on her worst day, she's singing a song because she had to sing it, and then it still moves people. And I mean moves people. And I've seen that happen, so we take it very seriously. Now, we have a good time doing the 70s and 80s and the music that you and I love, but there's a lot more going on there. There's just a lot more going on there. So we don't take that for granted, and that's something you might want to know about it.
Yeah, I will admit, when she did The Reason, I was welling up because her interpretation of that was just so touching, and I can understand people getting emotional with her voice. It's like, and when she done Anyone Who Had a Heart, I mean, she does it as good as Dionne Warwick. I mean, I seriously, I don't think that.
I grew up listening to that song. I know that song, and you are correct. She does that song really well. I get it. Yeah. So
I mean, I'm just so.
You wanted to hear The Reason? Is that what you said?
That was the first one that I loved. There's two. There was The Reason and Not the Best at Saying. They're the two that she's got up on.
Well, actually, I haven't made the. Let me change that right now. I can change it because the Not the Best at Saying by you, not the best for saying. At Saying, that's the name of the song, right?
The song is called Not the Best at Saying. Yeah.
So it wasn't, you had a link to it, but it wasn't public. But I just made it public on our channel. So anybody can find it on. So which one do you want me to play first?
Well, out of the two, do The Reason first, and then Not the Best at Saying if you can, if you don't mind.
Here we go.
There's a reason I am here, and that reason is you. So let me make it perfectly clear. Every word I say is true. You're the answer to my question, solution to my problem here. Don't need to be a mathematician. Oh, the equation is pretty clear. You're the remedy to my affliction. You're the suture to my wound. You're my favorite prediction. Nostradamus was well tuned.
So you want to listen to the other one, or are we keeping going?
You saw the reason.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse. You're my favorite season. You're my special truths. There are many reasons why I stay, and none why I should leave. You're the sun that brightens up my day. All those reasons
Is that not beautiful or what?
Yeah, I
I mean,
get it.
just
I
the way
get
she
it.
sings it.
Well,
Sorry.
that's what she does. That's what she does. Yeah. I'm not making light of it. I get it. It's nice. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, not every musician can move you when they sing something, but oh my God.
Yeah.
That's why I love watching her, you know.
Yeah.
And when she does it, anyone out of the heart. But
Yep.
yeah, that one and that they're not the best at saying. They're both. She just to do them off the cuff like that. It's just there's a talent there that not many people could do that.
Yep.
You know? And I've talked to other people on other streams and they oh no I can't do that. Oh no that's impossible. You know. But to see Miriam just to read the words and make a tune up as she's reading the words. Yeah, I'm glad that I write it in a verse that she can, you know, and I'd say to her, tweak it as you go. If you think it doesn't work with a preposition or because poetry doesn't always convert straight away to song lyrics, chord progression, melody. You've got to actually play around, and that's what I find that she does, and so does Kevin. They might change or repeat the chorus to make it work, the melody, and that's the beauty of a good musician that they can do that off the cuff. You know, it's just great.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, thanks for playing that. It's still very emotional. You know.
Bold Contrast liked it. So Thought Storms liked your lyrics. It's all good, man. It's lots of fun. It's good to enjoy that stuff like that. So, hey, you've got a big event coming up next week. You're going to talk to Peter about sometime me trying to do an interview with him.
Oh yeah, I'd love that.
We're going to hopefully be able to do a stream sometime tomorrow. She's going to be on that train on Saturday. The classic music, or I forget the name of it, but there's a train going around that she's playing on Saturday morning. Then we're out of town for like 5-6 days, and then hopefully next Friday we'll be able to maybe do another stream. So, dude, you've set a record. I haven't done it.
Well, I hope I wasn't boring. I hope
No, it's definitely not boring. So here's the thing. This is the first time that a Music Quest interview has been 2.5 hours, and there you go. Been fun. So,
mate, I really appreciate it. Look, I don't know if you can. If you do finish the show, finish it on Miriam singing "Not the Best at Saying," I'd be wrapped.
Sure. Let's do that. I can make that happen. I think. I got to find the right button to push. Hit the wrong button. Come on. I enjoy your enthusiasm. I enjoy listening to you talk so passionately about surfing, even though I am completely clueless. Here's the thing. I love hearing anybody talk about something that they're passionate about. I don't know why, but if somebody's passionate about it, I'm there. I like hearing people talk about things they care about, and it's more fun that way. Can
I just say, Matt, if anyone wants to listen, all my poetry I write, and before you start, I share to Facebook straight away. Well, I actually. There's a guy, there's about 4 or 5 photographers that walk the promenade along the beachfront every morning before sunrise. And they do beautiful photographs. And if they go to my Facebook page, you'll see the shared photos, and I've written poems. And a few of them wanted to do a collab where same formula as my book, where they have their beautiful high-res photo on the face page, and on the page looking back is my words that I interpreted from seeing the picture. And I've got about 70 of one poet, one photographer, 120 of another, and 50 of Shannon's. Now, Shannon is the one that's really keen to do a collaboration book, and I want to call it Down to the Sea. And it's virtually all of shots from Cronulla in the mornings. So other than the romance poems, which become music, I do a lot of poems about the ocean, which, as you know, I'm very attuned to. And that, just quickly, this is a very early days, but when I did that poem, the book, and Dad, and this is early writing. This is very short. I wrote this poem. It was about Dad had passed, right? And it's called Another Angel, and it's to my dad. It goes, another angel came today, picked up my dad, took him away, but I know he'll be looking from above down on me with all his love. I really miss him. I miss him heaps. Just want to kiss him and have him for keeps. He meant so much. He taught me well to have a good heart, but don't hide in a shell. So I always try to stay true to myself, say how I feel, not just sit on the shelf. So to my guardian angel, now looking over me, thanks for showing me this love of the sea. And that's the picture. Yeah. So I put that in the book in the last page, you know?
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So some of these pictures on your Facebook page, there's a whole bunch of just beautiful sea, but it's mixed in with like family shots and some music shots. If I fire up the music, I'm just going to go through these pictures, and there's going to be a collage. It's going to be some sea shots.
That's beautiful.
It's going to be some family. It's your Facebook page, so it's just whatever's out
there's
there.
There's nothing private here. I'm an open book.
Yeah.
But,
So I'm gonna start up this song, and then we're going to, let me see if I can get back to it. There it is. I'm gonna hit play on this bad boy, and then we're gonna look at some pictures. How's that? Is that okay?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something just before you go. When I first retired, I did a poem called "Time on My Hands," and a friend of mine who lives up the coast saw the words, and just with I think it was called GarageBand, and she just got a guitar and she put words to it, and she did a collage of all my photographs, and it's actually on YouTube. It's called "Time on My Hands," Dippy, and it's got her singing it. And it's similar to what you're going to do now, this collage thing. So, that was all about just being retired.
What you need to do is you can email me the link to that. Like I said, I'm going to have a page on my Music Quest website that has all the interviews. And on each interview page, there'll be this video that's been cleaned up and, output, and it'll be on YouTube. Yeah. It'll be on the page, but then we'll have links to other things. So anything you want on that page, you just make sure I have it. Yeah. I'll include it on that page, and people can find anything you referenced along those lines. Is that cool? Yeah.
How short do you want to make the interviews? Like, are you going to try and keep them at a certain length?
They just are whatever they are. Most of them, I did. One of the guys I interviewed, an A&R vice president of a music company out of Nashville, and he only had 1 hour. So that was the shortest one I've done, is an hour. Most of them are between an hour and a half and right at 2 hours. So, but I mean, it's just whatever it is. I mean, so I'm not
worried about nearly 3 hours, eh?
No, well, yeah, if we keep going, it will be. So I'm going to hit play on this song. I'm going to back it up so we can hear the first of it. And then I'm going to play some of your pictures, and then we'll come back after that song's finished, and we'll say bye and all that good stuff. How's that? Is that cool?
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Exactly how I feel, and always you're displaying my emotions here so real. I may not always be verbose with my words I say to you, but my words are from the heart, so simple but always true. Not the best, oh, not the best, saying I love you. All I know, I'm so blessed with also true, my truth. Not the best, but I'm so blessed with words that are so true. Come to me so you can see how my heart beats here for you. Oh, the beat is strong, this is your song. It's your love that gets me through. Never knew I could feel this way, but these words are never remiss. Not much more I need to say. Let me say them with a kiss. Not the best, or not the best at saying I love you. All I know that I'm so blessed with words that are so true. With words that are so true, my love. With words that are so true. Not the best, but I'm so blessed with words that are so true. And if you go, my heart will slow, but your memory will hold the beat. A beating heart will never part. I can never be discreet. I can never be discreet, my love. I can never be discreet. Oh, without your love, there's not enough. Oh, your love is oh so sweet. Not the best, or not the best at saying I love you. All I know, I'm so blessed with words that are so true. Oh, with words that are so true, my love. With words that are so true. I'm not the best, but I'm so blessed with words that are so true. Oh, with words that are so true, my love, with words that are so true. Not the best, but I'm so blessed with words that are so true.
Yeah. That's Allura Beach, that last shot. That's a friend took that photo of me standing at the beach with my board. I got
Very good.
I got that same photo framed. This one.
Yeah, it's a good
That's
picture.
me. Yeah, I love that shot.
Yeah,
She took that just one morning, and I was just down there for an early surf before dawn.
Uh-huh.
The sun was coming up, and yeah, it's a great photo. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. All right,
That
well,
was-
I'm going to call it good. I have a massive lightning storm and
Oh.
potential hail coming our way. Like out this
Oh, that's
window,
what you don't want to have.
it's going crazy. If you notice in the background behind me went from light earlier. Now it's very dark outside. And if we stay long enough, there'll be flashes behind me. The weather's coming in. So, hey guys, we'll put some links on the page. I'll post it in a couple of days. Hopefully I'll get everything out there and you guys can look at some more stuff that Dippy puts up there. I'll send you some stuff to look at, Dippy. And hey, we'll see you online. And
yeah, if they want to do join me on Facebook, it's Mark Dippy is my Facebook page. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate it.
We'll put that link out there, buddy. We'll do that. So, Dot Storms, did you find us somebody to raid? I'm assuming there's at least a couple of people still here. I was trying to figure out. Yeah, I haven't got the. I mean, pushing all the buttons, trying to make sure I don't hit the wrong thing, and all that kind of stuff. I haven't figured out how to easily, seamlessly raid other people yet. It's still a mystery as to how you get all this done when you're got too many things going on.
Yeah.
So,
did we have many people watching that, Matt?
I think we had, 5 or 6 maybe. I mean, that's just normal for me, man. I don't have big numbers. That's not something that's happened for me yet. I got a ways to go before we have large numbers.